If you're feeling exhausted today, if it feels like there aren't enough hours in the day to keep your farm in order and the physical labor is starting to take its toll, this video is for you. Most breeders make the mistake of carrying the entire weight on their own shoulders, using expensive tools, fuel, and chemicals to solve problems that nature can solve for free. Today, we are changing the rules of the game. I'm not going to teach you how to work harder. I'm going to teach you how to think like a strategist. We are going to turn your property into a smart ecosystem where your animals stop being just a financial burden and become your most efficient employees. Welcome to the era of the no-work farm, where you'll understand that success doesn't depend on the sweat of your brow, but on the intelligence with which you integrate every life on your land. To achieve this, we must first break a deeply rooted mental paradigm. In conventional livestock farming, we see the animal as a finished product: meat, eggs, or milk. But for the cutting-edge farmer, the animal is, above all, a biological function in motion. Every species walking on your land has an instinct, a natural drive that, if channeled correctly, turns into the mechanical labor you currently do by hand. Why buy a tractor and pay for maintenance if you have a living tool that feeds on weeds and fertilizes while it works? Why use insecticides if there are birds whose greatest joy is hunting exactly what destroys your crops? The key is to stop fighting your animal's instincts and start using them to your advantage. When you reach the point where the waste of one species becomes the resource for the next, you've created a closed loop of fertility and efficiency. You've stopped being a laborer and started being the conductor of a biological orchestra. Let's dive into our first and perhaps most powerful employee, the pig. On most homesteads, the pig is relegated to a muddy patch of ground where they do nothing but eat grain and wait for market day. What a waste of potential. If you've ever had to clear a new piece of ground, maybe an old pasture that's gone to seed or a corner of the woods choked with brambles, you know it's a soul-crushing job. You're dealing with soil that's as hard as concrete, woven through with the roots of Canadian thistle, wild blackberry, and multiflora rose. A standard mower won't touch it, and a hand shovel is a joke. This is exactly where your pig should be clocked in for work. A pig's snout is one of the most incredible tools in the natural world. It is a mass of pure muscle and highly sensitive nerves, designed specifically for deep tissue excavation. When a pig roots, they aren't just making a mess, they are performing a high-level tillage operation. By using a simple setup of portable electric netting, you can focus a small group of pigs on a specific paddock of overgrown land. They will spend their entire day systematically turning that soil over, searching for grubs, roots, and minerals. They will rip out those tough, invasive weeds by the root, things that would normally require heavy applications of glyphosate to kill. But the no-work magic goes much deeper than just tilling. While those pigs are working, they are also providing two essential services that a tractor never could. First, they are performing deep layer fertilization. As they turn the earth, they are treading their own manure and urine directly into the subsoil, creating a nutrient-dense environment that is ready for the next stage of growth. Second, they are sanitizing the ground. They are hunting down the larvae of May beetles and other soil-borne pests that would otherwise decimate your future vegetable garden or orchard. By the time you move that electric fence to the next patch, you aren't left with a mud hole. You're left with a rich, aerated garden loam that has been pre-fertilized and pre-treated for pests. You didn't buy a gallon of diesel, you didn't breathe in exhaust fumes, and you didn't spend 4 hours on a vibrating seat. You just moved a fence and let the pigs be pigs. Now let's move from the bulldozer to the precision instrument. If the pig handles the brute force, the Indian runner duck is your specialized technician. For anyone who has tried to grow high-value greens, strawberries, or maintain a healthy orchard floor, you know that slugs and snails are the ultimate nightmare. They move in the shadows, late at night, and can strip a nursery bed of its profit in a matter of hours. The traditional fix is to buy bags of toxic slug bait, which is not only an ongoing expense but a danger to your soil's fungal networks and your farm's overall health. This is where the runner duck earns its keep. Unlike your typical heavy-set ducks that waddle around and make a mess, the Indian runner stands upright and moves with incredible speed and agility. Most importantly, they lack the destructive, scratching instinct of a chicken. If you put a flock of chickens in your garden, they will have your mulch kicked across the driveway and your seedlings uprooted in 10 minutes. But the runner duck? They are low impact. They have a surgical way of weaving through your rows of lettuce or tomatoes, using their sensitive bills to find every single slug, snail, and beetle hiding under the leaves. Integrating a patrol of runner ducks into your orchard or garden isn't just about saving money on pesticides, it's about turning a liability into a high-protein asset. Their manure is a hidden goldmine for the grower. It's a cool manure, meaning it won't burn your plants like hot poultry litter. It's also largely liquid, which acts like an immediate foliar feed that the soil absorbs instantly. Imagine the freedom of not having to go out late at night with a bucket of salt and a flashlight to hand-pick pests. Think about the peace of mind knowing that your insecticide is actually a group of happy birds that are producing some of the richest, most nutrient-dense eggs you've ever tasted. This is the essence of working smarter, identifying a pest, and instead of fighting it with chemicals, you provide it as a resource to an animal that thrives on it. Finally, for this first part of our journey, we have to talk about the sanitation engineer of the entire homestead, the chicken. But forget everything you know about birds trapped in a backyard coop. We are talking about the chicken as a master of compost and a primary guardian of livestock health. One of the most exhausting, thankless jobs on any farm is managing manure. If you raise cattle, horses, or sheep, you know that manure piles are a ticking time bomb of fly larvae and internal parasites. If you let them sit, you're looking at a huge worm load in your pastures that leads to stunted growth, expensive dewormers, and sick animals. This is where the chicken's natural scratching behavior becomes your greatest asset. In a no-work system, we use what's called the follower system. A few days after your cattle move to a fresh paddock, you bring in the chickens. They will instinctively tear apart every single manure patty, searching for fly larvae and parasites. This simple act does three massive things for you. First, it breaks the life cycle of the parasites before they can reinfect your herd. Second, it spreads that manure out evenly across the grass, preventing burn spots and ensuring the nutrients are absorbed quickly by the soil. And third, it aerates the pasture, helping to break up the thatch and encourage new, lush growth. If you have a large compost pile, don't waste your energy turning it with a pitchfork. Just throw a few handfuls of grain into the pile and let the chickens go to town. They will turn, shred, and aerate that organic matter faster and more thoroughly than you ever could, all while adding their own high nitrogen contributions to the mix. The result is a finished compost that is black gold for your fields, produced with zero manual labor on your part. By the time the day is done, your chickens have fed themselves on high-protein insects, saved you a fortune on livestock medication, and prepped your fertilizer. They aren't just egg layers, they are the front line of your farm's health department. When you start to see these connections, how the pig prepares the earth, the duck protects the crop, and the chicken sanitizes the system, you begin to realize that the no-work farm isn't about laziness. It's about a higher level of management. It's about being a leader who knows how to delegate the hardest jobs to those best equipped to handle them. Now that we've handled the heavy lifting of soil preparation and the day-to-day sanitation of your pastures, it's time to shift our focus toward the long-term management and security of your property. This is where we transition from fixing problems to maintaining a high-performance system. In this phase, we bring in the specialists, animals that don't just save you fuel and machinery costs, but act as a living insurance policy for your entire investment. If part 1 was about building the foundation, part 2 is about protecting the house. Let's talk about a bird that is often misunderstood or even laughed at by people who don't understand the no-work philosophy, the goose. In an era where every suburban hardware store is trying to sell you a gas-powered string trimmer or a zero-turn riding mower, the goose is a forgotten masterpiece of biological engineering. You see, a goose is not just another bird, it is a highly specialized herbivore. Their entire digestive tract is optimized for processing high-fiber forage, making them the most cost-effective mower you could ever put on your payroll. While a mechanical mower eats expensive diesel, requires oil changes, and forces you to spend your Saturday morning vibrating on a seat under the scorching sun, the goose does the job for the cost of a little water and a safe place to sleep. The real genius of the goose, however, is their precision. If you're managing an orchard, a vineyard, or even just a complex landscape with flower beds and berry bushes, you know that a metal blade is a liability. One slip of the trimmer, and you've nicked the bark of a high-value fruit tree, opening it up to disease and pests. But a goose has a flexible, feathered neck and a gentle way of grazing. They can reach right up to the base of the tree, cleaning up the grass and weeds that compete for nutrients, without ever damaging the plant you're trying to protect. They are selective weeders. They have a preference for the tender grasses that choke out your crops, but they generally leave woody stems and established plants alone. By integrating Geese into your property management, you aren't just cutting your grass. You're converting nuisance vegetation into high-quality protein and a nitrogen-rich manure that is distributed perfectly across your root zones. You stop being the guy chasing the lawn. You become the guy watching his orchard thrive while his employees handle the grooming. But sometimes, grass isn't the problem. Sometimes, you're dealing with land that has truly gone wild. I'm talking about those lost corners of the homestead, the areas choked with woody brush, thorny multiflora rows, poison ivy, and thickets of brambles that would stall a brush hog and destroy a pair of work pants in minutes. For these extreme zones, your best ally isn't a machine. It's the goat. A goat is not a mower. They are a high-impact biological clearing crew. While cows and sheep are grazers who look down at the grass, goats are browsers who look up at the brush. When you employ goats for land clearing, you're doing something much more profound than just cleaning up. You are performing critical fire mitigation. In many parts of the United States, especially as we see drier summers, the buildup of ladder fuels, that dense, dry undergrowth, is a massive wildfire risk. Goats systematically strip that fuel away. They eat the leaves, they bark the stems, and they trample the remains, effectively creating a natural firebreak that protects your home and your outbuildings. They can navigate steep, rocky slopes and deep ravines where no tractor or human crew could ever work safely. And the best part? They thrive on the very plants that are toxic or repellent to other livestock. By the time they're done with a patch of brush, they've turned a fire hazard into premium milk and cabrito. They hand you back your land, clean and accessible, without you ever having to pull a starter cord or swing a machete. But a truly successful homestead has to be more than just productive and tidy, it has to be secure. Security is often the biggest hidden labor sink in farming. It's the time you spend worrying at night when you hear a noise in the distance, or the money you lose when a stray dog or a coyote gets into the coop. This is where we bring in the radar of the farm, the guinea fowl. In rural communities, they are legendary as feathered watchdogs, and for a very good reason. A guinea fowl is biologically incapable of ignoring the unusual. Their high-pitched staccato alarm call is the most reliable notification system you can own. Whether it's a strange vehicle coming up the drive, a hawk circling in the thermal, or a snake moving through the grass, the guineas will let you, and everyone else in the county, know about it immediately. But their job description doesn't stop at security. Guineas are also your frontline defense for parametric biosecurity. They are specialists in pest sealing, the areas where you and your family live. Their primary diet consists of insects, and they have a legendary appetite for two of the most dangerous threats on any American farm, ticks and venomous snakes. While chemical tick treatments are expensive and risk contaminating your soil and water, a flock of guineas provides a biological barrier. They hunt in a coordinated line, like a search and rescue team, vacuuming up deer ticks and wood ticks from the tall grass before they ever get a chance to hitch a ride on you or your kids. They are a health insurance policy that works day in and day out, ensuring that the invisible threats on your land are neutralized long before they become a medical emergency. Finally, we have to address the protection of your capital on a larger scale. If you raise sheep, goats, or calves, you know that a single predator attack can wipe out your entire profit margin for the year in less than 30 minutes. Many folks instinctively reach for a livestock guardian dog, LGD, but let's be honest, a dog is a lot of work. They need specialized training, high-quality kibble, grooming, and regular vet visits. If you want a security solution that fits the no-work philosophy, you need to look at the donkey or the llama. These animals possess an incredible, innate territorial instinct that is hardwired into their DNA. Unlike a dog, a donkey, or a llama thinks like a member of the herd. They eat the same forage as your sheep, they drink from the same water trough, and they don't require a separate management plan. But don't let their calm appearance fool you. Their defensive psychology is fierce. They have a natural, burning hatred for canines. Their physical presence alone, the height of a llama or the bray of a donkey, is enough to intimidate most coyotes. But if a predator dares to cross that line, a donkey will charge, kick, and stomp with a ferocity that few predators can survive. By integrating one of these guardians, you are delegating the night watch to an expert who never sleeps on the job. The time you save and the stress you eliminate are priceless, knowing your investment is safe under the watch of a natural-born protector who asks for nothing more than a patch of grass. At this point, I hope you're starting to see your property through a different lens. It's not just a place of sacrifice and constant fatigue. It's a living, breathing organism where every piece has a purpose. The no-work farm isn't a myth or a pipe dream. It is the logical result of stepping back, observing the natural world, and allowing every animal to fulfill its biological destiny. Your role as a successful breeder isn't to be the slave of your animals, but to be the architect of their productivity. When you stop fighting the environment and start collaborating with it, the financial rewards stop being a struggle and start becoming an inevitable outcome. You regain your time, you reduce your overhead, and you build a legacy that is resilient and sustainable. I want you to take a hard look at your land today. Look at those problem areas that cause you stress, those bills for fuel and feed that never seem to go down, and those chores that leave you feeling defeated. The answer isn't a bigger tractor or more hours in the day. It's about hiring the right biological employee to handle the job for you. It's about letting the animals do what they were born to do, so you can do what you were meant to do. Lead and grow your business. So let me ask you, out of these 7 power players we've covered, which one is the missing link on your property right now? Which animal are you going to hire next to help you claim the success you deserve with half the effort? I want to hear your plans and your stories in the comments below. Are you going to bring in a bulldozer pig or a security guinea? Let's talk about it, because your insight is what keeps this community of smart breeders moving forward and thriving in a changing world. To your success, fellow breeder. See you next time.